Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Laugh Daily podcast. Today is going to be a monumental podcast because we are going to be interviewing Isaac based on a recent crazy video we did. Andrew, why don't you tell everybody about it?
I mean, you guys are probably wondering why
Your voice.
it's because of this drink. Our last podcast was inside of this tent, and you're probably wondering, well, that's an interesting spot, but that was on purpose because Isaac spent an entire week inside of this very tent. It was outside, but we moved it inside for audio.
And we thought it looked cool for those of you who are watching this video to just kind of see the space. It's not a terribly big tent, but
No.
man, we're going to go into detail on everything Isaac experienced on camera, off camera, how he felt then and now. So Isaac, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Man, have you been excited to talk about this?
Yeah. Yeah,
Because you went through a lot.
it was pretty rough.
Well, why don't you just... Oh, you got something, Andrew?
Oh,
You look like you're about to say something.
I was going to say, how did this all start?
I'm pretty sure. So I think we were even setting up for the mega tent video. We were just sitting in there before,
Yeah.
before we were like filming all the games and stuff. And I think you brought it up. You started asking questions. You're like, would anyone stay in here for a extended amount of time?
Because that's something we like to do is like randomly ask hypothetical questions, not necessarily being serious, but just as like, how long could you stay in this tent for if you
Yeah.
couldn't leave? So it was like that, yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I would for sure. For money, at least, not for fun.
Just because.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we had this idea of surviving in something for a set amount of time for a while, actually, before Isaac even started. So then that kind of idea got brought up again while we were setting up the mega tent. And a few people actually said, yeah, I think I could do that.
I mean, yeah, when money's on the line, people will do the darndest things.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, a week for, I guess the video's out, a week for 10 grand is like, I mean, I'll probably never make that much in 1 week, like ever again. So I was like, I have to do it. It's worth it. It's going to be rough, but.
So going into it, obviously the money, did you have any other motivations to like outside of compensation that you're like, I want to do this for myself?
Oh, definitely. I intentionally, obviously the phone was $5,000. So on one side, it's, a big part of the budget, but on the other side, I intentionally wanted to not have that in there.
And
Anyway.
to explain, just in case you haven't seen the video, he started with $10,000. We built a shop in this warehouse that gave him all the things he could want to buy, food, shelter, but everything that he would purchase would take away from that $10,000. So like he just said, if he wanted to bring his phone into the tent, that would take $5,000 off the $10,000 prize.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way.
A phone's a big investment. I mean, you're connected to the internet. You have unlimited entertainment, everything. So that was going to be a lot of money.
Yeah. Not bringing my phone and then also bringing my Bible in there were two intentional plans I had from the start. Even if the phone had been cheaper, like even if the phone was like $500, I probably would have still not brought it in.
Nice.
That was one of my big goals, was to just be like, I want to see if I can make it without my phone for the whole week. And I did.
Was it tough at first?
It's surprisingly not. I think when I'm at home, I'll end up scrolling for a long time. And I think in the moment while I'm doing it, I'm like, I just want to be doing this. I'm being lazy. But then afterwards, I'm like, that sucks. I just wasted so much time. And so I don't even think I missed that to begin with. I noticed a couple times I like reach for my pocket or like reach for like the dresser behind me.
Yeah.
Thinking my phone was there just by habit. But I don't like, after the first day, I didn't miss my phone at all, which was really.
So the first day you're like, man, I wish I kind of had my phone to
Yeah.
watch some videos or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that would have definitely made the time gone faster, but I think it would have been a less productive time mentally for me. Yeah.
Did you have any other goals going into this?
Yeah, I wanted to just in life, like being so busy, having so many distractions in life, it's going to sound crazy, but like, I wanted to kind of experience God in there. I've been a Christian my whole life, and, you know, I have a relationship with God, but I was like, without any distractions in there, you know, I'll read my Bible at home for, you know, maybe an hour and then immediately reach for my phone afterwards. And I hate that, you know? And so to have a time where I literally have nothing else to reach for, it's like just hours and hours of time to just pray, read, and listen. I was like, hopefully I'll have some sort of experience with God in here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It is cool because I don't think, well, I mean, obviously when we were thinking of the idea, we weren't thinking like, oh, this would be a great tool someone could use to
Right.
Grow closer to.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it was crazy seeing that whole transformation over the week. Because at first, I mean, and we planned on you making it. Like, we weren't trying to get him to leave. We were throwing in a bunch of elements to make it like entertaining to watch and more difficult because, again, entertainment. But like, I was not expecting, like, near the end, especially when that counselor came in talking to you, like, to have all those things come out about, you know, how you're
Right.
feeling. I was like, dude, this is crazy. Like,
Yeah. I don't know how much of that is even going to be in the video, but
yeah.
it got pretty deep in there in that little tent.
By the end, how are you feeling, like, mentally? Was there at any point you wanted to give up and, like, literally leave?
No.
Nice.
I mean, obviously it's like, I want to get out of here, but that was kind of the surprising thing is no day in and of itself was really that bad. It was kind of just the combination of all 7 days in a row of just doing nothing, not having much interaction that made it, like, now looking back, being like, oh man, I don't really want to do that ever again. But no day was like, this is so bad, I have to leave now. It was, yeah.
So it's just being in this tent. You're like, "Duh."
Yeah.
Like, what'd you say right before we started recording this podcast?
Yeah. I don't even want to be in here again. I hated it here.
Especially that tent, right?
Actually, no.
Oh,
That tent was the best night.
The smaller tent.
Surprisingly, yeah, the small tent was my favorite night of the whole time.
I would have never guessed that.
Me neither.
Well,
I was
you got
scared.
spooked. You got spooked pretty bad.
I did. Yeah, Jackson was winding me up hardcore.
Oh yeah. Okay. Tell everybody about that because that definitely was off. I don't know if it was in the cut either, but what happened?
Yeah. So obviously in the moment I was like, oh, 12 grand. I got to stay in this tent for sure. And so I did it. And then even as I was moving my stuff in there, I was starting to have second thoughts just because of the snow. And so I looked to Samuel and Jackson for reassurance, which was a terrible, terrible idea. Because they just started making stuff up. They were saying stuff like, oh yeah, it's going to snow another 4 inches. The wind's going to be crazy. There's going to be mountain bears, Colorado winter bears.
Winter bear.
Dude, there's so many names for that bear. Can't even keep up. And then I started regretting it. It started to be like, oh man, I got too greedy. I tried to go big and now I'm going to go home with nothing. So I was definitely, there was a lot of regret and fear. I never considered leaving, which might be how it looks on camera.
It looked like it on the security cameras.
Yeah.
Dude, I felt my heart start racing right before the counselor came in there. You're laying down and like hitting your head. He's literally hitting his head saying, I'm sorry. Like almost seems like he's crying. I'm like, dude, somebody go out there. He can't leave. This is like day 6 or something. I'm like, dude, I was starting to feel bad. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude,
Yeah, this was
is
like
brutal.
Thursday afternoon.
Yeah. It's cause Jackson, he said the thing that scared me the most, and this was off camera. He was like, dude, he said it so genuinely too. He was like, dude, we're all rooting for you, but no one thinks you're actually going to do it. He said,
we didn't tell Jack to do any of this, dude.
he said, it's going to get way worse. And so in my head, I'm like, if this is how it is right now, I can handle this. But he made it sound like you guys were for sure coming back to do more stuff or take some things or the next day make it worse. And so that's what that was. I was like regret because I was like, man, I'm going to have to go home and tell my wife I got too greedy and now I have $0.
Dang. I just wish you could have saw the actual weather report because like as we're setting up the tent, like the sun was coming out. There was no more snow even in the forecast. And the temperature wasn't even getting any worse. Like the high that day was almost the same as the low. So you'd already gone through like the temperature. Oh, it was just so
That's
funny.
crazy just to think about how somebody's words can impact you that greatly. Well,
Yeah.
just not you. I mean, like, as,
No,
if anyone says anything to us.
because I have no context. I mean, I know Jackson, but I guess I didn't know him as well as I thought I did.
Like, he was terrified. Isaac was so scared.
You were worried about that bear.
I'm telling
I
you.
was
like,
worried about that bear.
I'm like, there's
But
no
the-
chance.
The bears are all going away to go to sleep. It's like it's almost winter.
No, not the winter bear.
And they're,
Colorado winter bear stays up at night.
Oh, give us some facts about the
It forages
Colorado
at
winter
night.
bear.
It's small. It's like 500 pounds. Has a hard head because it has to forage in the snow, and it's hard to kill.
And it doesn't hibernate.
Doesn't hibernate. So, because that's what I said. I was like, what about bears? And I was like, okay, there's no bears because they're probably hibernating. And Jackson whips out all these winter bear facts, and I was a little nervous.
oh, man. So, what was the one thing, the worst single moment or event that happened?
Oh, for sure, the personal training.
Really?
So
That was the worst.
even worse than the pepper.
Yeah, definitely worse than the pepper. That
Wow.
it was cut out. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the edit yet. It's being edited right now. So I asked Drew. I don't know whether he'll do it or not to edit it so it looks like I was only supposed to do one round of that HIIT workout because he came in and told me we're gonna do 3 rounds of this. And after the first round of just like I forgot what I even did, but I literally couldn't breathe. I thought I was about to pass out. Like I started like blacking out. I looked like a goober.
Yeah, I remember you sitting on the bed and you're like,
Yeah.
He's like, all right, ready for round 2? And you're just like,
Yeah, I was like, no, I
I
can't.
need to wait.
Because I mean, the whole week I've barely been moving, and it was getting to the point where, like, even just getting up and walking around, like, I could feel my heart beating faster.
And you were
than-
just eating bread and
than it should.
beans.
Yeah, just bread and soup and beans, ramen, not heart healthy whatsoever.
It was so fun watching for us. I mean, we've never done something like this before. So it was like a fascinating thing from our end to be able to look at the cameras and be able to see you at all times at any point. So we would spend a lot of time just kind of like watching you.
And that was weird for me too,
Because
because
that sounds.
I knew there were people in there, but I didn't know when they were watching. So I'd do something. Sometimes I would just end up talking to myself, talking to the camera. Maybe someone's out there hearing this. But I had no
We
idea.
heard a lot
I had
of
no
it.
idea.
There was one point where he's messing around with the Rubik's Cube and he's like, oh, I can do the British flag. And he does it, shows the camera. He obviously doesn't know we're watching it, but then he's like, all right, give me something to, and he's like, oh, no one can respond. He was trying to ask us, okay, what do you want me to make?
Yeah.
And then he just realized I'm alone still.
I'm still alone.
There's probably times where you showed the camera something and no one was down there.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
Bless you.
Maybe Drew will see it. Maybe he won't. I don't know how deep. I mean, he's probably not going to watch all.
Yeah, we had
7
24/7 security cameras on him.
Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
Drew went through most of it.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah. I think, the full rough cut is done.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see that.
Me too.
What,
Hey.
what was your favorite moment to watch that I probably don't even know you saw?
Oh, man.
I like to put myself in your shoes a lot, so it was definitely interesting when you were just kind of sitting there, like staring off. Because I'm like, Isaac didn't really buy many entertaining things. Like he bought the book, the Bible, and was that you didn't buy anything, did you?
I got not originally.
Yeah,
I
originally.
thought I was going to go in raw, and yeah, I think Saturday Samuel came to check on me, and I was like, yeah, no, I need something. So I got that Dune game, which
You
I never
bought that.
I never played that. I don't know why I bought that one.
I was so hoping you would. That way you would know this game in and out by now. That we could sit down and all play a nice game of Dune.
It was a strange phenomenon where I had so much time to do anything, but I just did not feel like learning how to play that game by myself. It's so
That
dumb.
makes
I was just hoping I'd come in and the whole board game be set up like under bed and you're like, okay, this is it. Gotta do this.
Yeah.
It looks fun. Maybe.
But there are some moments I was just watching you stare off into space. I'm like, what is he thinking about? Like, what would I be thinking about if I was sitting in there, kind of like just with my own thoughts?
Oh, dude, pretty depressing.
I mean, I'm sure it'd be sad. I'm a big extrovert, so I would have
Yeah.
been like, thankfully you got that notebook, because like I would have probably brought in a notebook and like
Yeah.
drew stuff, wrote ideas down. You know, I would have probably filled out that whole book.
Oh yeah, that notebook's crazy.
Yeah.
There's some happy thoughts, some very sad thoughts,
Wow.
some pretty dark ones, and then some lyrics about a llama.
Yeah, that's crazy. He literally wrote a song about a llama, and then was it the next day or later that day?
It was the next day.
The next day we brought in, it was an alpaca, but same thing,
Same thing.
a llama into his tent and just let him hang out with him.
Which that actually probably was one of my favorite moments to watch, just
Yeah.
as watching the security cameras, because he had no idea we're bringing in this alpaca. And it was Caris's brother who brought the alpaca, so he didn't know the guy. He just comes in, hands him the alpaca, and just leaves.
I wish we could have left him in there for the whole rest of the challenge.
That would have been crazy. That would have been, oh no.
And then he has to fit in this tent.
No way.
Yeah. That thing would probably freak out and just destroy
We
it.
were hoping he'd get like really just anxious and start sprinting around your tent. And just
The
like
alpaca or me?
No, the
Oh.
alpaca knocking stuff over. Not you.
And go to the bathroom. We were
Yeah,
hoping that.
we were really hoping he'd just
Oh,
take a
man.
big deuce or pee in your bed or something.
He might have if I'd fed him that bologna. He wouldn't eat anything.
He didn't want it.
He's a stubborn alpaca.
He only wants his alpaca treats.
It was so soft, though.
He was really soft.
I bet that was nice for you, because like not having really much interaction, and then there's this soft animal. Like, it's almost like therapy.
Yeah. No, that I think out of all the challenges, that was my favorite.
Your therapy animal?
Definitely my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's sick.
Yeah.
Riding
Man.
was fun.
We had like a
I
whole
know that.
bunch of other challenges that we didn't get to do.
Really?
Yeah. But it was good. We had a whole day where we basically didn't talk to Isaac once. Like, because usually every day we were doing an event or two. And then one day we're just like, all right, there's no interaction, which
Yeah.
I'm sure he was expecting it, but
Was that the day Drew came by? Oh no, that was the next.
no, that was a different
No,
day.
you didn't talk to me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Huh.
And I for sure thought you were coming back at night to do something.
I had it planned.
Yep.
I was up at 11. I had my clothes by the front door because I was going to put some warm clothes on. I had a whole mission planned.
What happened?
I got too sleepy. I was watching the Nuggets game and I was like, you know what? This is perfect. Like I'm vibing on the couch.
Yeah.
As soon as the game's done, I'll go do this mission. And the game got done. And I was like,
I remember staying up late that night too because I was like, they didn't
watch the
talk
Nuggets game?
to no,
Hoping.
because I was like, they're gonna come back and I got to be prepared.
You're from Home Alone. This is my house. I have to defend it.
Yeah, pretty much.
We would have. We were just enjoying the comforts of life.
Yeah, I thought about you guys. I thought about that a lot. I was like, man, Justin's just at home in his warm house with his kids and
Eating good food.
eating probably a lovely, healthy meal while munching my dry ramen block.
Yeah. Okay. Any other realizations throughout the week that you weren't expecting?
That I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. Because, you know, being a YouTube video, you probably weren't expecting much. Like, oh, it's going to suck. And then the video is going to be done and I'll move on with life. Has there been anything that's been kind of more longer lasting that you're like, wow, this has impacted my life?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been a relatively like independent person. And so when I met my wife, I was like, you know, head over heels for her. And then I'm just like, I like to think of myself as relatively independent. And so I was like, yeah, I can go without, you know, seeing my wife for a week, you know, I'll be chill. And I think that was one thing that I wasn't quite expecting is how much I actually missed her. I mean, it sounds bad. It sounds like,
No, I know.
but like,
Yeah.
you know, I was
Totally.
like, man, like I knew I'd miss her, but I didn't realize to what extent.
That's
Because
cool.
I guess since I've met her in 2017, I don't think I've gone a week without talking to her. You know, like a whole week without texting. We did long distance for a while, but you know, you FaceTime and you text. And so not to see her for a whole week or talk to her was like, man, that's crazy.
So that's what you missed the most, being in the tent?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. More than anything, more than my phone, even after I got out, I think I hung out for a little while before I even checked my phone.
Yeah, I think so.
I do think, so this is an interesting realization I even had like a couple days after the tent, like even last week. In my head, I was thinking, since I'm going without my phone for this little bit of time, I'm like breaking the habit of like not going on my phone. And then literally that night, I found myself sitting back on the couch, just scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever, like my wife's next to me and we're just doing the same thing. And I'm like, man, like I thought after a week of this, I would have broken this habit. And I had that kind of weird realization of like just cutting out access to something doesn't actually, stop the, like it doesn't actually stop the temptation.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. So you're not doing it.
Right.
But then as soon as it's back, it's like, man, so I've had to actively try. I thought it would be like a magical solution, but now I've had to actively try and be like, I'm not going to go on my phone. It's here in my pocket. I can, but I'm not going to. And I feel like that's maybe more so how you can actually break a habit. I don't know.
Hmm.
Side quest.
I love that side quest. So all the players watching right now can do this side quest.
Yeah, that's deep.
They don't have to survive in the tent without a phone for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it would solve all my problems, and I'm pretty much back to the same person, but just with like realizing I have the same habits,
I feel like we need to have like a mental, like scientist person come on the podcast. Cause there's like, I think there's two people I can think of that kind of talked about this. Craig Groeschel, he has a book called Divine Direction.
Yep.
And then Dr. Caroline Leaf talking about like, whether it's habits or just how our brain works, how it takes like a very long time to break a habit, like a consistent see in that, which is crazy. So it's like a week can do something temporary, but if you really want to change.
Yeah. Cause same with food, it was the same with the food. I chose the smaller amount of food cause I was like, I'm going to get healthier, lose some weight, stop eating as much. And I did, while I was in there, I did actually lose 12 pounds.
Oh,
which
dang.
is kind of crazy. I don't know if
I didn't know
No,
that. You didn't
yeah.
tell us.
Yeah, I lost 12 pounds.
Dang.
I weighed myself the day before I went in and the day I got out.
Wow.
And that was another thing where it was like, now that I'm back in the real world with all the food that I love, it's like I'm back to just, eating whatever I want. And so, yeah, having access to something and denying it, I think is more so how you break a habit than just be like, get rid of it. I don't want to see it.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I'm reading The Power of Habit right now.
Oh,
it's good.
perfect.
Yeah.
Who's that by?
I can't remember. But yeah, because they're talking about this story about this guy who had like a medical condition where he's like, I don't know, something happened with his brain where he's just like not there anymore. But then he started developing these habits, and these like habits started actually like directing him, even though he's not like fully there. It's really interesting.
That's kind of cool.
Dang.
Anyways.
So do you plan on doing anything now that you're out to continue the habits you want to create? Or you just like, like you just said, kind of just, it's there, you're denying it, or are you going to actively do some other things to change?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things I realized is your environment doesn't necessarily dictate your habits, because I just didn't have access to it. So I didn't do it. So I think it's more of a mindset change. So like, rather than trying to do all these things and try and put all these measures in place, just kind of having that mindset of my phone's in my pocket. It's not like I need to get a dumb phone or like get rid of my phone or get a flip phone or something, but just still having access to it. And then making that conscious decision, like I'm in public right now. I'm at dinner. I don't need to swipe on my phone every single time that I'm not doing anything, because that's just what I do. Like it's just a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it does feel nice kind of taking a break from that stuff.
It was nice.
The other week I stopped using like just social media, and like I found myself being so much more productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm like, I want to use social media because it's like part of our business, and I want to be aware of what's going on.
Right.
Well, it's just like anything. It's like you don't want to overdo stuff. You want to take it, by a little bit at a time or whatever. Yeah. Like this cup, when you fill it all the way to the top, let's say like using social media is like this top part here. So if you take that out, you almost have to fill it with something else. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of empty, and you're just going to go back to that, using that same. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I felt like not saying like no one should have phones or ever go on their phone, but I'm someone who's just a very extreme person. And so it's kind of all or nothing for me. And so balance has been something I've really strived for in my life in general. And so it's just another one of those steps towards finding that. And I definitely had way more mental clarity when I was in there, like more creativity, like even building that little Ferris wheel, something like that. I would never want to even attempt that without, in real life. Or like figuring out certain ways to heat up my food or figuring out the Rubik's Cube, like stuff like that. Like my brain is actually working. And even reading the Bible, like it was like so much more clear to me than it ever has been in my whole life.
Dang.
So all that kind of stuff was cool. Just not having any other distraction.
Andrew,
Yeah.
how do you think you would have done if you were in the tent with Isaac? Or not, maybe
With me.
not with him.
me?
With him. If you were in the tent for a week, how do you think you could do?
I don't know. I'm not as extroverted or need people time as much. So I feel like I could do, it wouldn't be like awful for me, but I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, because it
You
seemed like it was
have
more.
kids.
That's
and-
true. A different layer of.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. I don't have any kids.
But it seemed like before you went in, you were thinking it wasn't going to be as bad.
Yeah.
And then you got in, you're like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah. Even within the first couple hours, I was like, oh man. It's just
I remember
so
that.
boring. It's not torturous. It's not like painful. It's just so mind-numbingly boring.
I think
Just
that was
staring
my
at
favorite part was that first like hour and a half watching on the camera. Because you spent a lot of time rearranging your bedroom, like everything was set up. And then once you did that, you just kind of stood by the window like this. And you're like,
Yeah.
well, then you just sat on the bed.
Saying, oh, this is so boring. I want to get out of here.
Yeah, it was only an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, because that day was exciting. So I was still running off like, this is kind of exciting. We're filming a fun video. And then, yeah, it set in. And the weekend was the worst because no one was around. I didn't even hear any activity or anything. It was just like, I'm here alone. No one's here.
Man.
And when he was in the tent, we were also filming the piggy bank video. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know if you remembered we were filming that or not.
I think I did.
Because
I mean, I saw you guys. Yeah. Was when I saw the, what are these things called? Excavators or the jack. Whoops.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. What are they going to do?
that's
to my
what I was
tent?
thinking. I didn't know if you thought like all those heavy equipment we were bringing
Yeah.
in was for the tent video.
I did. And then I saw you eventually riding around with your piggy bank. I was like, oh yeah, forgot about that video.
Dang.
What do you want to use the money for?
Ooh.
Because he walked away with $12,000. We gave him opportunities to win more money, which was funny because the first chance we gave him, he picked the least amount of money option.
I had awful luck with those challenges.
It was just a punch wall, and whatever he punched, he got what was inside. And so he punched the envelope that had only $10 in it.
Do you know what the biggest one was?
I think Samuel told me it was like you win back all the
Yeah.
money you spent.
Yeah.
Because he spent like, I don't know, $2,000 at the
Yeah, it
shop.
was close to 3.
Yeah.
So he would have won
2,800.
all that back, but you still walked away more than 10 grand.
And then Tuesday morning was one of the lowest emotionally, I think, because I had already been like, I'd been alone with my thoughts, and for some reason, Tuesday morning was like extra depressing. And I was, before you guys even got there, I was already like, ugh. and then the stupid Carolina Reaper challenge. That one,
yeah.
I haven't seen the clip, but I don't know if it shows up on camera. But I was like actually pretty distraught inside. I was like, oh man, I just keep failing.
Oh yeah, you missed out on DoorDash.
You're a failure.
So in my head, I'm like, man, I just missed out on $3,000 potential.
yeah.
And that thought, I mean, now it's all great. Now it's all fine. But in that moment, I was like, oh man.
Yeah. So anyways, the money, what are you going to spend it on?
We need a savings account. Me and my wife, we have a little one, but we've been trying to actually build one for in case of emergency. So probably put a lot of that in there. I want to keep some aside. Not necessarily to tithe like in the traditional sense, but like while I was in there, I was like, God, I want to take some of this money and like, I want you to direct me and like in giving it to someone that needs it or multiple people that need it, and then more like fun stuff. I need a new laptop. I have like a really old laptop. And then I want to get my wife's birthday is in a couple weeks. So I want to get her a brand new iPhone because
she might be watching.
Oh yeah. Well, I won't let her watch this video until because she's someone who will never buy anything new for herself.
Uh-huh.
So she always gets like old janky iPhones off Facebook Marketplace. And so I think it'd be cool to get her like first ever brand new phone.
It is time.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool.
Might be a little materialistic, but I don't know.
Oh.
Don't worry about it, man. That sounds awesome.
And then some fingerboard stuff. Yeah.
This guy in the fingerboards.
Yep.
You guys already know if you've seen the videos. He can do every trick in the book somehow.
I love it.
How did you learn all these tricks?
I've been fingerboarding since I was like 14. And I also skateboard. And so that helped. Like the knowledge of skateboarding helped me be like, I want to replicate these tricks on a tiny one.
So what about it do you like?
It's just so fun. I think the replicating of skateboarding is why I like it personally. I know some fingerboarders who aren't skaters, but for me, it's like I like making it feel like a real skateboard trick. And the community aspect of it. If anyone's in Colorado, there's actually a fingerboard park in Denver. And so my whole life I grew up fingerboarding, and then I somehow moved to a state that has a literal fingerboard park. It's called This with an exclamation mark instead of the I. And they have like, yeah, this. And so they have like six parks in there, and you just go and shred. And so like the community of it is cool. I like the fact that it's kind of stupid. It's one of those things that doesn't give me an ego. Like skateboarding, like it's cool, you're a skater, you're cool, and you got this vibe. But fingerboarding, everyone's like, that's kind of stupid. So
I think it's
kind of
fun.
like that.
I think it, like anytime we go places and you'd whip it out of your pocket and you're able to like hit a trick randomly at lunch or when we're shopping. I don't know. To me, I'm like, this is fun. Like it's just fun just watching you be able to find something to grind just as we're walking through Walmart or whatever.
You look at the world differently.
Yeah.
What's the dream with it? Do you just want to do it as like a hobby, or do you actually want to do
What
something
did you just tell us in the car?
I mean, realistically, it's hard to ever make money off of fingerboarding, but I do like it'd be cool to get sponsored. They usually send you like free stuff, and you can like rep a company. And then I kind of want to. We're in Colorado Springs, so I kind of want to bring the Colorado Springs fingerboard community together because there's a bunch of guys here, but there's no like place they can all meet up and like actually sesh together. So if you're if you're in Colorado Springs and want a fingerboard, hit up my fingerboard account on Instagram, Bitty Digits. Bitty Digits.
He said he was gonna start making your own boards, maybe some pre-sales. Fingerboard company.
Yeah.
If you guys are interested, leave a
I want
comment.
to start a movement.
I don't know if this is
change the world.
I don't know if this is a thing.
Okay.
Maybe you can steal this idea.
Okay.
Because they have the store. It's a physical store, but what if you got like a truck? It's like almost a mobile fingerboard unit where you could go to like parks and tell everyone to meet up, and it's like 360 degrees around the thing. You just fold open the doors or whatever.
Yeah.
They're all ramps around the whole truck.
That'd be sick. I mean, that is kind of what I've been thinking of doing recently. I'm going to spend some of this money on buying like some parks so I can maybe not have a fold out truck, but just like a U-Haul or trailer or something you can pull out the parks. There is a league that does that, the USAFBL. So it's like the fingerboard
league.
Yeah, fingerboard league. They actually stopped in Denver.
Speaking of tournaments, didn't you win or do something?
I did go. I did compete this year. I came 8th out of 10, so not so good.
We gotta go to the
100%.
league. That'd be sick.
Yeah. So he has a big truck and he just goes around all the different states, and he stops in Denver.
So when's the next one?
Next year. I think it was in July. This past July.
So if you win, what happens?
You get a medal.
Sponsors.
You get a medal. The first year, I think they did.
Oh, money.
Yeah, the first year they had a little bit of prize money. I think this last year was just medals and some like prizes.
Dang.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of people? Is it like, how big's the community? Is it like?
It's a pretty big niche community.
Fine. If you guys want us, we'll sponsor a fingerboard tournament. We'll front the prize money and you can run the details.
Okay, sweet.
You're getting to know Isaac a little more.
Yeah.
I haven't met anybody who's as good at fingerboarding as you. I mean, we all have tech decked before.
Right. And that's what's crazy. To the average person, I'm like amazing. But then once you start like getting into the scene and like knowing a bunch of like pros and stuff, it's like they're insane.
Dang.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anyone being better than you.
That's another thing. Along with my wife, I surprisingly I missed fingerboarding a ton.
Oh yeah, we did make fingerboarding kind of an expensive thing because we knew how much this meant to Isaac.
Yeah.
So It wasn't just your fingerboard, but we made it like a
Bunch of
package deal with
ramps,
like a bunch of ramps and the whole
Yeah.
park and all that.
Yeah.
It would have been fun.
It would have been fun. I missed it. I mean, I was like, I would just do this kind of on my leg and practice the movements. So dumb, dude.
Yeah, everyone wants to know,
Okay.
would you stay another week for 20 grand in a tent?
Whoa.
This is the number one comment right now
Actually, no,
on
it's
this
not.
episode.
Oh, on this episode. You guys are commenting that already? That's crazy.
Yeah, they already commented.
You guys are nuts.
Because you're saying you'll never do it again.
Another
But
week
Really?
for 20 grand. Okay, here's why I'm scared to say yes.
Because we'll make you do it.
Yeah, kind of. Because the first time when you were talking about it in a tent, in my head I was like, yeah, I'd for sure do that. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking like, this can be a little, ways off. Let's take some planning and stuff. And then they're like, yeah, we kind of want to do it in the next week or so. And so I said yes, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ready to do that.
Yeah.
And so if it was like in the future, way, dude, I don't know. I hated
I
it.
feel like the only way we do like another tent specific one is if the one we're uploading with you gets like 10 million views or something.
Right.
Insane.
Oh, you guys better go watch it.
Yeah.
If it just blows up, I mean, we might have to do these every week.
I'm interested every week.
Just rotate.
We just have different, they kind of like overlap a little bit. So as soon as one person's getting out, one person's going into a different tent.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how the edit looks because, like I said, I haven't seen it. Like, it's going to be really weird to see 7 whole days of my life that seems so long and tedious just condensed down into like only like the funny moments or the good moments. Like, that's going to be super strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
We have talked about different locations. Like this is, again, if we did another 10 episode, like would it be cooler if it was, for example, just at the top of a mountain?
Oh.
Like not just like here where we can monitor and stuff, but maybe we have like a monitoring van or something nearby, but you're up in the woods alone. Is it 1 week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? What
Yeah.
are the options you could do with this?
So many ways you can go about it.
One of my biggest realizations was because, like I said, I was disappointed about the money on Tuesday. And then just over the course of the week, all the kind of revelations I had, I really did come to the conclusion of like, I could walk out of this tent right now and be perfectly happy, like without the money. And so I think what I experienced in the tent was more valuable to me than the money. And so I'd try and remember that and be like, I probably wouldn't, I'd value myself enough to like not put myself through something I didn't really want to do for the money again, I think.
Nice.
And so, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool revelation.
Yeah.
That's a good life experience.
Yeah. Like at the end,
Yeah.
it wasn't even the fact I was walking away with nothing. It was the whole beating of my head scene was just the fact I was disappointing my wife. Because as far as she knew, I'd made it through the whole week. She came and checked on me on the cameras. And she was like, he's about to make it. Like, he's about to come through. And then I did that. And then, so that was the biggest thing for me.
No.
Not that I'm losing the money, but that I'm like walking home and with nothing. She's gonna be like, what did you do?
Yeah. Because you didn't know that we brought your wife in person
Yeah.
until
I
you
didn't know
started-
for sure. I kind of figured it out because in the note she wrote, she mentioned something specific to like that morning that I had done off camera. It wasn't anything like crazy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wait a second, she must be here.
Yep. But he never got to see her.
We
Never did.
No. That would have been too powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have been rejuvenated with hope. But Dr. T also gave me some hope. That was
Yeah.
probably one of the best moments.
Yeah, he's cool, huh?
Yeah, I like him a lot.
He still wants to chat with you.
I know. I sent him a text.
Oh, cool. You're connected with him.
Yeah.
Nice.
Look
Me and
at
Dr.
this.
T are still friends.
Let's go.
After all that, guys.
Well, I'm curious, you guys listening and watching, and maybe you commented on the main video itself, but we'd love to hear how that video impacted you, if anything. If it was just entertaining for you, or if you got anything valuable out of it. Let us know in the comments. We'd love to read.
Yeah, let us know on this channel in the comments because
Yes.
we'll for sure see it. If you comment on the JSTU video, it might get lost in the comments. But here, we know you mean it.
Yeah. Because we got like a nice small community here in the podcast that we're able to see all your guys' comments, and we recognize a lot of your usernames. So we appreciate you guys who keep coming back and watching our stuff and supporting us, because we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you. But is there anything else before we close out? Final remarks.
Yeah. Again, I kind of say this for the end because I don't want it to like seem like preachy or whatever, but I think one of obviously the biggest moment for me is probably, not on camera because it's not interesting, but it was just like the personal revelation. The first couple days were like, my biggest fear going in the tent was being left with my own thoughts, because sometimes they can be, pretty depressing, pretty dark, just because I overthink everything. I have a ton of fear. I'm like a very fearful person. And so I went in with a lot of that. And if the first like maybe 3 days, I was really struggling with that. And then just reading through the whole Bible in context. I didn't read through the whole Bible. I read most of the New Testament, not the whole New Testament, but the Gospels, and then all of Paul's epistles. And growing up in the church I'm a pastor's kid, and like hearing these things, and like even doing my own Bible reading, I'll pick a chapter and like dig in there. But reading a whole book in context is like, for me, it was life-changing in there. For me, reading Romans, going from like constantly fearing like hell and like what salvation means and all these different things, just reading like Romans fully in context, Galatians and Ephesians, and just boom, like blasting through probably like a book. I would read a book in the evening until my flashlight died. And like, I mean, it's not really, I'm not bragging because I had nothing better to do. But I really read it intentionally, like, please speak to me, Lord. And he did. Like, it was like more clear reading all in one go than it ever has been. Like, I was just like, it was just like the living word. I mean, I've always heard that the Bible is the living word of God, but I never really understood it until I was in the tent, and it was crazy. It was like everything made sense. Passages I'd read my whole life were like, oh, I know what that means now. And it was like a clarity that I've never had. It like really felt like, especially in the little tent, and when I was like fearful, like just laying there, I was like, God is in here. I know he's in here. And it wasn't even like a tingly, crazy Holy Spirit feeling of like, ooh, like fire on my head or whatever. It was just like that knowledge of like, I know God is in here.
Confidence.
Yeah, confidence. And it was like the most real it's ever been in my life, I think. And so that's why I was like, man, the money doesn't even matter anymore, because this has like changed my view on life, my view on, my faith. Like, it was awesome. I highly recommend obviously if you're not a believer, then, whatever. But if you are a Christian and you've read parts of the Bible, reading the whole thing or like a whole book as one, it's just like, this is like the word of God. It's the instruction manual of our life. Like, I can't believe I'd never done that before.
Dude, yeah.
I was like, what have I been doing my whole life?
Just to add on to that, because like I bought one of those reading Bibles, because the chapters in the Bible, those are all added like later.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, it's always meant to be like, read this in its full like letter. Because it's like, when you think about it, when Paul wrote that, any of those like to the Romans or whatever, they wouldn't just stop and like come back later.
Yeah,
they would
come
just
back
read
next
the
week.
the whole letter that he wrote to them.
Yeah.
Dang.
So anyway.
Yeah.
No,
It makes so much more sense as one thing.
Thanks for sharing that. I feel like that probably resonates with people who are listening, and hopefully it's an encouragement to some of you, because how old are you?
23.
So Isaac's 23 and he's having that revelation right now. So don't like be disappointed if you're on your journey and you haven't experienced anything like that, because it happens differently for everybody. Sometimes like we just experience things differently. So don't expect it maybe to be like his, but like just be open. It is, I guess, all really I'm trying to say. It's like,
It's good.
Yeah. And to add to that, it's not like I came out of the tent a brand new person where everyone's like, wow, you're like, life has radically changed. Because I've always been a Christian. And so I've never had that like, well, I haven't always been a Christian, but I've always known God. So I've never had a like crazy transformation where I was doing one thing and then switched. And so coming out of the tent, it's not like I was like, a brand new crazy person where all of a sudden everything was changed. I had no more sin, and all of a sudden I was a perfect Christian. Like that's the thing. I going back to my old habits, like within the first couple of days, I was like, man, I like this sucks. But that's the thing. It's like, it's a process. And I think too often we want to like snap our finger and all of a sudden all our, struggles and temptations and our walk with God is all figured out and we know everything. But like, I'm realizing like there is time. As long as you have the key elements of of who God is, like he'll do that process in you. If you're a new Christian, you're not going to look the same as a Christian who's, in their 40s and been walking with God for, 20, 25 years or something. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Couldn't think of a better way to close off the episode. So, guys, if you haven't already, give us 5 stars on Spotify and hit that like button if you're on YouTube.
Don't forget to laugh daily, guys. That's the name of the podcast. It's the name of the game.
See you next time. Goodbye.
Keep fingerboarding.